this, I would not be able to do justice to it if I, just talk very spontaneously. So I said, I will jot down some points, okay, and I will see to it that the whole book is somehow, the gist of it is given to you, the whole book. Then, you're always free to go through the entire book afterwards and, look at it more deeply. Okay, before I start, trying to expose the book, found the book, I would like to thank the Directorate of Official Languages for selecting my book for publication under the scheme of publication, which, the Directorate of Official Language has. I am also extremely happy to present my book today at this Goa Book Club meet. Okay? And lastly, most importantly, I would say, I thank Mr. Frederick Lawrence for agreeing, for arranging this meet. So that, in the introduction, I will go straight away to my book. Okay? I will present the content of the book in 9 parts, okay? Corresponding to the 9 chapters I have. Really know your central India. And she also used to say from Santa Cruz, right?
Yes. You are from Santa Cruz?
I'm from Santa Cruz. I'm not staying in Santa Cruz right now. I'm in Vitalpati. But I know you're from Santa Cruz.
I am married in Vitalpati.
Import-export is called.
Exchange program.
Exchange program. First, the book briefly reviews elementary education in India as a background to the discussion on language and education policy during early schooling in Goa. So the whole book, focuses on language and early schooling. When I say early schooling, I mean nursery, kindergarten, and the primary. Primary, that is lower primary, so first, second, third, fourth. Because we also have the upper primary. I'm not just going into that. So it's lower primary. The language and education policy in Goa is associated with a number of sociological problems. The issue of elitism and class inequality being one of them. Now, these problems are highlighted prior to delineating the objectives and describing the methodology adopted in realizing them. Secondly, language and language in education policies are analyzed from a variety of social science perspectives. I go into sociology of language, sociology of education. I go into, historical perspectives, different perspectives. Now, the book stresses there is no single overarching theory of language policy due to the complexity of issues involved in language and society. Scholars, for instance, from within the critical and postmodern traditions, argue that the language policies of the developing nations further the interests of the elite, camouflaged in hegemonic ideologies. They attribute the spread of English to local and individual language acquisition decisions done in response to changes in the ecology of the world's language system. The book, however, also discusses mother tongue education at length, since it is prescribed by many. Studies contesting the claim of mother tongue education as the only approach to children's education, as well as those questioning the viability of teaching in mother tongue, are cited. That research on the linguistic effects of teaching in the mother tongue or the second language has been inconclusive has also been underscored. Arguments that language maintenance is often at the root of the promotion of mother tongue education, when in fact empowerment of individuals should have had primacy over the development of individuals' mother tongue or the preservation of language have been emphasized. Further, difficulties in implementing mother tongue education have been described. The difficulty in the identification and standardization of mother tongue, as well as sentimentalism associated with the concept, also have been discussed. In the third chapter, language and early schooling have been examined from the perspective of sociology of education. The book explains how the new right ideology led to the introduction of market system in education and the transformation of schools into small to medium-sized business enterprises. It also discusses how this led to a dual system of education and the polarization of schools by social class and languages in India. The theories of social reproduction are useful in understanding the language and education scenario in Goa. However, these theories are too deterministic and mechanical, neglecting its agency and the processes of resistance. Therefore, structuralism theory, wherein the centrality of agency in the production and reproduction of society is reinforced, and agents are seen as empowered to reinvent and reconstruct the conditions under which they live and learn, that is also discussed. I hope I'm going slow enough. I'm reading it slowly. I mean, you can always ask for clarification. I will go through it first. Give me time to go through it, then I will see it, and then close. Hopefully, you can ask me questions.
Tell us on which chapter.
Okay. Right now, what I was speaking was the third chapter. Yeah. Now I'm going to the fourth chapter. The language and early schooling scenario in Goa is explored from the historical perspective. The fourth chapter is more of a historical angle. Language used as media during early schooling from the Portuguese time up to now are discussed. The Portuguese language and the Portuguese education system focused on primary education, and most of the common people did not study beyond the primary classes. Education in Konkani was never given any importance by the Portuguese government, nor did the people feel Konkani schools to be of any value to them in the job market. Marathi education was provided even before liberation in government primary schools, as well as in schools run by Hindu educational societies. The sense of devotion to Marathi and the conviction that Hindu religious beliefs are taken care of in Marathi schools have been responsible for the continued choice of Marathi medium as a primary till today. English education and the desire for English schools resulted from the deterioration of economic conditions in Portuguese Goa and the prospects of job in British India and British colonies abroad. Even today, neither the attraction to migrate nor the demand for English education has diminished. The 1990 education policy, however, denied grants to English medium schools. This has brought about an educational divide, reflecting the rich-poor dichotomy among the people. Fifth, an effort is made to critically analyze the language and education scenario in Goa with the help of primary information generated from the interaction with parents, teachers, language protagonists, educationists, and activists. As a prelude to this analysis, the demographic profile of Goa and the language and education scenario based on official statistics are outlined. A broad description of important characteristics of the parents interviewed is also provided. A number of interesting facts revealed by the careful analysis of the primary and secondary data has also been briefly described. Secondary data reveals that in rural India as a whole, the share of private unaided sector is insignificant, and the private aided sector has only a limited presence. In Goa, however, the private aided and unaided sector has a much larger presence in rural compared to urban areas. The number of schools managed by the private sector in rural areas in Goa is twice the number of schools managed by it in the urban areas. The procedure involved in the construction of a socio-economic status scale. Now, I constructed a socio-economic status scale, to arrange my respondents in different strata: high, moderate behind, moderate behind, medium, and low status. Okay. So, the procedure involved in the construction of socio-economic status scale and the relationship between social status and language choice at early schooling is very recent. The findings that there is a shift from private to government schools as one moves from the high to the low strata. That there is a polarization of schools by status as well as by languages. That the parental aspirations are directly proportional to the social status. The choice among higher status parents is determined by the language of instruction and the characteristics of school, and among the lower status parents by proximity or financial difficulties. There is a significant percentage of those studying outside the village did so because of English medium schools. That the agency of parental education and employment aspirations resist the structural elements of culture and school systems and admit their children in English medium schools and well-structured society are also described briefly. In the 7th chapter, the book takes a critical look at the linguistic behavior of teachers vis-a-vis the students in the class and the medium of instruction followed in the particular educational institutions. Based on the perception of teachers, details are provided about the children's understanding of the medium of instruction and the need for the use of some other language other than the medium of instruction in the classroom. Further, details are provided of how teachers resist and negotiate policy decisions, defy the monolingual policy, and use languages other than the medium of instruction to facilitate the learning process of the children. The book suggests that the linguistic behavior of the teachers brings out the subtle tension between policy and practice. It draws attention to the policy formulation and institutionalization of linguistic practices at the other end of the spectrum, that is, local communities and contexts, in whose names policies are formulated. The book in a way concludes that the teachers exercising their agency in bringing about changes they deem fit indulge in language planning from below. In the 8th chapter, various implications of the medium of instruction policy during early schooling in Goa are described as narrated by the language protagonists, educationalists, and activists. I've got, the interviews with language protagonists, activists, recorded verbatim in the book. You can go through, their recording. The book argues that collapsing the concept of mother tongue and regional language has resulted in making the regional language the medium of instruction during early schooling. It also argues that the script controversy points to one language, one script, one nation ideology. Further, nurseries and kindergartens in English flourish due to the desire of management to attract children to their schools and to protect their futures. The rush to English schools, it is contended, is due to the faulty policy of the government machinery functioning almost entirely in English. More importantly, the book argues that the denial of grants to English schools has resulted in the emergence of the dual schooling system in Goa, intensifying the existing divide between the haves and have-nots, perpetuating societal inequality. In brief, the book argues that a vast majority of parents prefer English medium early schooling for their children. Their preference is not reflected in actual enrollment in English medium primary level schools, as English medium schools are few, scattered, and inaccessible to the poor parents, since they invariably charge donations, admissions, and tuition fees unaffordable by them. Consequently, it has been observed that the promotion of regional languages has been prejudicial to the poor parents. Further, it argues the language and education policy in Goa has resulted in the promotion of the regional language and the standardized mother tongue in schools rather than the actual language spoken at home. The study also found that in regional language medium schools, a number of teachers liberally use English language, thereby exercising their agency in facilitating the learning of English by children. The book also indicates that the availability of English medium in government and private aided schools will drastically change the enrollment ratio in favor of English medium. I've briefly commented on the book, the entire book. Very briefly, I know, because I've rushed through the chapters just to give you a gist of the chapters. I'm here to listen to your comments, your clarification you want to. Maybe I can throw some light
to shift agenda away from this hot potato subject, because it's a religion. Language is almost like religion. It kind of divides people very strongly. I wanted to know the mechanics of the publishing of the book because it was sanctioned during the Digambar Kamat time, which had a certain policy on language, and now it has come up for release under the Parikar regime. And yours is not the only book. I'm not suggesting that because of language it's being held back. There are 3 or 4 other interesting books which are not which are printed and ready but not officially released, including our friend Tony Martin's book on Cancun, which I have not seen.
The last one, yeah.
The last one. No, it's not formally released.
It's
It's
not
ready.
released, like mine already, it's also not released. But we have been given the book. In fact, Nadaf and Tony Martin have worked together to
Nadaf,
write the
Nadaf.
book. So we were called, we were given the book, okay, and whatever honorarium we had, we were getting,
Yeah.
we got that, and that's it. I asked him whether I can release the book. I'm supposed to be meeting the director and asking him whether I can release the book. I thought this was very unofficial and
This is
informal. So I
Don't worry, this doesn't amount to a release. This amounts to a discussion, but not a release. No one will say that you released it.
Yeah. So I met Frederick and what had happened was I submitted the book in 2009 December. That was the time, 2009. Okay. So basically, in fact, even myself, I've forgotten some of the things I've written down there. I may have to look through pages to see exactly what things I've said there. But it was given in 2009. They took almost 2 years, okay, to ask me to come for proof. Okay, that was in January of 2011. I did the proofs. And then when the proofs went on until about June, so if you see the last page of the book, there's a circular which came in June, okay, that is also incorporated there. Now, the book was ready by August. Could have been released.
August last year.
August last year. Okay, could have been released any time. But somehow, Digambar Kamath could not bring himself to release the book. I don't know. Because the file went to Digambar Kamath. It remained there in the office of the Chief Minister. And then now, when it went to the Chief Minister Parikar, I think I'm told that, he said, well, we are not going to release the book. You can, do it privately. You can, that's the way.
Why